A seismic shift may be coming to U.S. soccer with promotion relegation possibly on the horizon. It's pretty exciting if it actually happens, so let's take a dive into what the news is and what the possibilities are for the future here. Welcome to Campfire Football. I'm Sebastian North.
Now, the United Soccer League is preparing to launch a new Division I Pro League set to begin in 2027. And if that new league is approved by U.S. Soccer, it would mean the creation of a league that could rival MLS. The USL currently has 26 teams competing in second division and third division leagues, but the new proposed first division could serve as a direct competitor to Major League Soccer, with promotion and relegation being a big feature of the revamped USL.
So that's the basic news. The USL is looking to get Division I status, which is what the MLS has. USL currently is Division II with the championship, and the USL League One is Division III. This is Charlie Davies and Jimmy Conrad. They are going to talk to Paul McDonough, the president of USL, and ask him a few pertinent questions, and we're going to go ahead and just react to those.
How long has USL been thinking about this League One status?
Things started about 3 years ago, right, when we were looking at things that could differentiate the league. And there were three main components that came out, right? One being changing the calendar, two was promotion relegation, and three was doing a Division I league.
First of all, I think the news that USL was possibly going to vote on promotion relegation, that came out I think sometime around a year ago. And it just kind of went quiet after they talked about the fact that they were going to have a vote on it. They've been working on this for 3 years, really discussing what they want to do to improve the league. One of the things, as he said, was change the calendar. The second thing was promotion relegation. And then the third thing was Division I status. And turns out that really was the key. That's why this news is actually picking up steam, because the Division I status thing really is like the door that opens up a whole bunch of new possibilities for them.
So we've been working on it. The Division I has kind of picked up really in the last 12 months as we were having conversations about promotion relegation.
So there, again, he just kind of confirms, we were talking about promotion relegation, and then the talk about Division I status really picked up steam.
Okay, promotion relegation. We've opened Pandora's box. The final frontier for soccer in the United States. Yep. This is obviously a big deal. How do you implement it? How long does it take? I mean, really talk to us a little bit more about promotion relegation.
This is interesting because a lot of people are under the impression that promotion relegation, it's just like a schedule change. You just kind of, reorganize what the things look like on paper and tell everyone what the new rules are, and then everyone just gets on with things the way they are. But here he kind of explains a bunch of the different issues, and you realize that this is not as simple to actually put in place as a lot of people might think.
It's a hard concept to implement, right? We thought it was, one of those things that we could get going. And as we went through the process with the championship in League One and talking about splitting the championship in two, that was very difficult for us. And, going promotion from Division II to Division II was hard. So that led us to pushing for Division I. At the same time, we're talking about promotion relegation. Our most ambitious owners are talking about higher standards, bigger stadiums. It just naturally led us here. And as we go through, there's still a lot of work to do, right? Promotion relegation, the way it is in Europe, is one way, but playoffs are very important. So how do we incorporate promotion relegation plus playoffs, right? Where the regular season has a lot of jeopardy, but then you still have the playoffs for the fans, that there's a champion at the end. So we're going to look at two kind of separate competitions. So we're just going through all of that now.
Fascinating, right? One of the problems that they had was that they're Division II sanctioned leagues. So if you get promoted or relegated, you're still a Division II sanctioned league. Therefore, nothing really changes. It's not that the concept of promotion relegation is too difficult in America to actually implement and for people to understand. It's kind of more like, is it the product people want? People want playoffs a lot of the time in this country. And so how do you do that? He talked there at the very end about making two separate competitions. He also mentioned the owners. I think a lot of the owners at some of these individual clubs, they're like, I want to build my team, and they don't need for the USL to go and create promotion relegation if it's going to cause extra problems.
Paul, when I see this and I hear it, I get excited, right? Because this is as close as it gets to European world football. It feels like the supporters have always been about this. Hey, let's do it. We're ready. But how did you get buy-in from the owners? Because it feels like the financial implications are maybe something that many owners kind of shied away from.
So this is important. I'm glad he said that fans and a lot of people have been wanting this. That's true.
Yeah, it's been a process, right, of going through the pros and cons of promotion relegation. I think with us announcing the intention of going Division I, that's kind of almost led everyone into a better mindset.
Getting Division I status is what is making people actually interested in this to a larger degree, where you can actually talk about implementing it.
Now, we're still talking to all the owners. We just got done with 2 days of Board of Governor meetings with Championship and League One, and the response was pretty good.
I like the way he says, like, pretty good. Like, how good? Like, if we're talking out of 10, right? 10 being everyone is on board and 1 being nobody wants it. This sounds like a 6.
We still have some work to do to get over that hurdle, but I think the first thing for us, right, we got to get the Division I going, and then we'll implement promotion and relegation.
So important to remember, they have to get the Division I status from USSF. Then they've got to go and actually create the league. They've got to get more teams in. It's a big process. So how early could we see promotion relegation? It won't be 2027.
Okay, so Paul, USL Super League has come out and stated that they don't consider themselves a direct competitor to the NWSL. Would you now say with this move that USL is trying to do, that you now are trying to be a direct competitor to MLS?
Very interesting. Are they going to try and be a direct competitor? Because being Division I status along with MLS, that raises a lot of questions. Like, are you guys trying to overtake them? Like, compete with them directly? Like, what's the deal?
No, look, I think we've got to focus on ourselves, right? I think when we look at the opportunity with the World Cup coming here, it's time for us to be bold and ambitious and make a move. And if we can implement this coming out of the World Cup, then I think, soccer in this country grows and it gets better across the board. And hopefully someday we can win a World Cup.
First of all, USL is trying to harness the World Cup and the craze that's going to happen in 2026. They're trying to use that momentum, which is very smart. He is not saying, yeah, we're in direct competition with them. We just want to also grow more. Now, everybody knows that you can't really have 2 Division I status leagues for everything to really be taken seriously. Eventually, they have to merge into one. And I wonder if this is the USL's long-term game plan here.
What will the salaries look like? Because if I'm an American player and I'm coming into MLS, we've seen some of the salaries that some of the internationals, the foreigners, are coming into the league and making. But if I'm an American player, will it be equivalent to what MLS American players are making? Will it be competitive? Because if it is, now we are talking about a real direct rival to MLS when you can get the same players that MLS can get.
The question was kind of weirdly asked because he seemed to ask multiple things at once and also kind of contradict himself. He mentioned, as an American player, are you going to be able to essentially get paid the same as you would in the MLS? And then he mentions foreign players who come over for a lot of money. The problem for a lot of American players is that there is not a way to make enough money in USL. So a lot of them basically just stop playing because there isn't a quality enough league and there aren't enough spots.
Yeah, look, we're going to be younger, right? When you start in teams, it's a little harder. So I think some will rival it. I don't think, I think when you get into big salaries, multi-million dollars a year, that's not going to happen for us, right? But I think for American players, I think that there's going to be an opportunity to play, Division I soccer and make a really good living.
How do you grow the local guys, right? The actual American players and give them an incentive to where they actually want to continue playing professional because they can earn good enough of a living?
Yeah, I love that.
Awesome.
So what are the next steps? You've put your flag in the ground. This is what we want to do. What's the next, 6 to 12 months look like?
For us, it's starting the application process, vetting potential ownership groups, talking with them, continuing to talk with them about promotion relegation, announcing Division I teams, because people have to get going on infrastructure. Infrastructure in Division I is going to be so important. And we've really seen the value of building stadiums, right? Our championship teams that have built stadiums, they see their economics change greatly. So they have better sustainability.
Yeah, I mean, that is abundantly clear. And there are a lot of teams, I noticed that the Tampa Bay Rowdies, their stadium area, I've seen some of their games, and it looks fantastic. Here in Colorado Springs, we have the Switchbacks. They actually were the USL Championship champions last year in the fall, and their stadium is a little 6,000 seater. It's fantastic. I've actually coached my high school team there. That's where they do the state finals, and it's right smack in the middle of town. So there is a real good sustainability there. It's not very big, but it is really keyed into the community.
In essence, why is promotion relegation so important for USL? And what's the sticking point for you?
Pretty obvious what the benefits are. But actually, Paul McDonough does have an interesting answer here, sort of highlighting the differences between the way it's done in Europe and the way it's going to be done here.
For us, I think our system is very different, right? I mean, we have our owners are their own, they control their own destiny. And I think our system, right, where we're very much like the rest of the world, where clubs can kind of run and build themselves how they want. I think promotion relegation gives us a differentiator to align us with the rest of the world.
Okay, that's the second time now in 2 sentences he's brought up the rest of the world. We're more aligned with the rest of the world. It's a differentiator from what? From MLS. So you can see that there is that competitive mindset. Like, no, we're trying to do something different from them and set ourselves apart.
It gives us more matches of consequence, dead rubber matches, we feel.
Right, of course.
We just play too many of them if you're not playing for something. And I think we just want to put an environment together where fans feel more pressure and consequences throughout the whole season. And I think that's will draw them to us.
Well, in doing so, will you change the calendar to match Europe's as well?
The calendar. Well, let's hear what he says first.
No, I don't think so. I don't think that's something for us right now, right? Because if we do it, we've got to do it through all 3 leagues, and we're just not there yet.
So he mentions it would just be complicated, but also I don't understand the point. Really, I think it's easier in the United States to play through the summer than it is through the winter time. I mean, the weather in too many places in the winter is absolutely awful, way too cold, too much snow. In the summertime, yes, it's hot. I understand if you live in LA or Houston, you're like, man, why don't we just play through the wintertime? But if you live in Toronto or Minneapolis or even Denver, you're like, I mean, no, we're not going to play through the wintertime. That makes absolutely no sense. So it's a geographical issue. That's a big problem for American soccer that'll never really go away.
Tell me about the trickle-down effect that this has. Obviously, if you are a club that's a little bit smaller playing in League One right now, that's just the 3rd division in this country, how do you start to look at your future, right? Obviously, you're encouraging them to start to think bigger, right? You're not just going to be stuck in League One. Now you have a real chance to move up the ladder.
Yeah, so this is the big thing. It's like, well, you can move up the ladder. What does that mean for owners?
Yeah, it's an education process for everybody, right? As you go from League One to the championship, the costs are going to be different. Players are going to cost more money. Travel is going to be different. Referees cost more money. TV production costs more money. So every time you go up the ladder, it's going to cost a little bit more money.
That's important to remember. Like, creating the Division I status means everyone's going to have to pay in a little bit more, but they're going to get more in return. If you are a club that really wants to push yourself and get promoted, you got to be ready to spend money when you get promoted. We see this in every single league. It's very normal.
So it's the education process that everyone needs. But we're really talking about, when you look at teams in our league, like Colorado Springs, they just hosted the final. We had our largest TV audience watch that game. It was in the morning. It was an unbelievable atmosphere.
Champions.
And when we're looking that this can happen in Colorado Springs and Louisville, Kentucky, it's only better for U.S. soccer if we can implement this system.
Division I status. This is what they want. This is what they need. This is how you are going to make things advance.
Paul, like the rest of the world, we hear all of the incredible stories, right, of rising from the bottom, the Wrexhams of the world, if you will. But it also has a really bad effect on the teams going the opposite way. So are there any safeguards or things that can prevent teams from going bankrupt if they are to kind of slide down?
I think it's a little different in our system, right? We don't have the massive TV packages, right? That if teams get relegated, that hurts them so much. We are going to have to build in, salary considerations, right? And we'll work with all the player union on that. Salary considerations if teams go up or go down. But you're not, if you get relegated from the top flight to championship, you're not going to see a massive drop. It's still going to be mainly based on local revenues.
This is really, really an interesting point. It goes to show you that the bigger the league and the pyramid is in terms of the amount of money that's in it, that's where you get larger disparities between the leagues. So the Premier League, the money is like, multi-billion-dollar contract for the broadcast deal. Championship, it's a fraction of that. So yeah, when you lose out on that Premier League money, you go down. Same with the Champions League. You don't make the Champions League, like this can be a really massive deal in terms of your overall budget. So teams that will go from like the USL Championship, whatever the top league, down to the second one, it's not going to be such a massive extraction of money. You're not going to lose as much. And if you're still making money in your local environment, you're still filling your stadium, you're still doing well with your fan engagement and, the investments that you're coming in, you should be just fine.
So I don't think it has that much of an impact for us right now, like it does in the rest of the world.
Honestly, I think this is a fascinating time for U.S. soccer. Clearly, the USL sees this as a perfect opportunity with the World Cup coming doing to just gain more interest and launch this whole thing. Will they get to the promotion relegation piece? That's not like confirmed yet. That's something that they want to do. It is, as you heard, something that they want to do as a differentiator from MLS. My opinion, they're kind of like the plucky upstart that's trying to grow and gain a lot of market share and probably hope that MLS buys them in like a decade and then we actually have like a proper system. If that happens, I'm all for it. So thanks for stopping by. I'm Sebastian North. This is Campfire Football. Take it easy.